So we already know the truck market is collapsing. There's obviously going to be some amazing deals in the truck sector. But we want to talk about what's going on in the market. Is this in fact the right time to buy your vehicle overall? Do we want to buy now, or do you want to wait 6 months or maybe even a year? We want to talk about that because clearly the last year and a half we've seen such an escalation in the prices of the vehicles. MSRP has been cranked up. Manufacturers, dealers have also been putting a few vehicles on the lot, decking them out with lots of options like gap insurance, paint protection film, undercoating, floor mats, and they've actually just jacked it up and tacked on all kinds of other fees. For example, market adjustment fees, which have taken the consumer for a literal ride. But things have changing a little bit. In the last year, this last 2023, is a place where we start to plateau. But does that mean that's the time to buy right now as we enter 2024? Is this the time? Well, let's talk about a few of those things. Some of the hangups back in 2021-22 were clearly supply chain, chip shortages, shortages of getting vehicles to market. That, of course, lowered supply, drove up the demand because there wasn't enough supply. People start to go to the used car market, which drove up the value of the retail in the used sector as well. We also saw aggressively pricing increases in a lot of the used markets. So there was a lot of competition for late model vehicles that were used, a year, 2, 3 years old with low miles. Those were highly sought after for those last couple of years. Then a lot of that had to do with just the trickle over. You couldn't get new, so consumers start to buy used. But as they start to get used, the market's just never really caught up for the last year and a half, 2 years, just simply for the fact that because leases were shortage, there were shortages on leases, you couldn't get those coming out of lease after a year or two. And so because the shortages of new, the shortages on used, the shortages on leases all translated to a place of into 2022 where we couldn't get a vehicle. But things are starting to change. 2023, it's started to sort of level off. And now as we hit the last third, well, essentially the last third quarter of 2023, we're starting to see things level off. Ram is filling up their car lots. They can't sell a truck. Well, they're selling, but they're clearly have way too many vehicles on the lot. Now, while they scaled up a lot during the UAW strike, they have too many vehicles on the lot now and they're not selling. And now the worst part is they've got lots of vehicles that are 2023 is now as we enter in 24, they've got lots full of 23 model years. You're pretty much talking about lot rot now since a lot of these vehicles are just sitting and sitting and sitting collecting dust and the dirt and the salt and the sand and the snow landing and they're just sitting there. Nobody's buying them. Jeep's another big hit. They're one of the worst for selling. They're the leading losers for vehicles just not selling. Of course, GM has found a balance. They're not putting as many on the lot. They're selling second to Ford. Now, did you realize Ford F-150s collectively have the largest sales records here this year in 2023? A lot of it is because they've got the hybrid F-150, which serviced a part of the market. They've also got the most selling full-size truck EV, which is in the Lightning, even though they're scaling that down a little bit. But they also have, turbo V6s, a couple of different formats there as well. They have several different variations for the F-150, and it seems to service a lot of different markets. Whereas Dodge or Ram clearly just doesn't have that, and GM is still quite old school. They haven't really got fully on the wagon yet as far as electrification, and they're struggling. The struggles are real in the GM land. Now, they have sold a lot of vehicles and they're second, so it's Ford, GM, and then of course we're talking Ram a little bit further down the scoop. Is this the time? A lot of manufacturers are still now starting to offer up some incentives. Yeah, incentives for you to buy. So the last thing you want to do is rush down there and pay full asking price. That was a thing of yesteryear. Now we got to think about, wait a minute, the heck with these guys. They've been taking us for a ride for the last 2 years. Now it's time to get back down to brass tacks. Can we talk about things that were going on in pre-2020? Yes. Things are going to start evolving there. They're starting already. And what do I mean by that? What are some of the trigger points? Well, what we're seeing is, yes, there's lots of manufacturers that are now not only offering, full just price tag, MSRP, but in a lot of cases, people are negotiating $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 off a sticker on a lot of these trucks that are not selling, or a lot of these cars or SUVs that are not selling. And that's offering up great opportunities for consumers. Now, that doesn't seem to happen everywhere. There's certain manufacturers that are really susceptible to this, and yet others that are not fully involved in getting on board with this and giving up all the deals. But not only are some of the incentives in terms of throwing goodies in taking prices dollars off of MSRP, there's some other added benefits here. You want to walk down to the dealer and you want to buy your $100,000 pickup truck, which is ludicrous, by the way, anyhow. And we talked about being underwater or negative equity, and you're at a serious risk if you're going to borrow a significant amount of money on a $100,000 pickup truck, where we're right in the midst of more standard market, where we're starting to see more traditional levels of depreciation. We're likely going to see some painful times here where people are further underwater, negative equity, buy full dollars. But some big things are changing. Some manufacturers are actually offering 0%. That's right. The idea of expensive lending is starting to phase out because now they're trying to get customers back in the door. It just hasn't been happening here in the last 6 months. Customers have been it broke the camel's back literally with the cost of borrowing, cost of living. Just putting a roof over your head and a loaf of bread in your gut has been enough just to keep a lot of people out of the car dealerships. But now, interest rates have leveled off. There's talk about, Bank of Canada and the American banks are talking about possibly starting to slowly retract interest rates. But we're not there yet. Still, a subprime borrower can still expect to pay 12 to 22% if you're buying either through a dealer or bank, or if you're just in a really bad place in terms of your credits. Basically, you're not getting good rates. However, you do have a situation here now where a lot of these, if you're a prime borrower, you have a great credit score, 660, 700 and above, you're now able to get yourself, in some cases, 0% financing. Yeah, there's some great deals out there. Well, let's just talk about some of the amazing deals. For example, you can get one of the worst selling full-size trucks, the Nissan Titan, which stickers for about $45,650, and now they're offering a 0% APR on that. And again, based on good credit rating. Plus, you may even get a $500 cash back in your pocket just for making that transaction. Now, don't forget, this one here actually ends at the end of January, so get it while it's hot. If you've been thinking about that truck, go down, don't pay full dollar, make sure you negotiate. Now, for SUVs, a Nissan Murano for just over $45,000 sticker, they're also offering 0% financing on some of their Nissan Muranos. So now you're into SUV marketplace. Now, Dodge Chargers, 0% as well, and they sticker starting around $35,000. You got to remember, the Chargers are being phased out, so that whole body line, the Chargers Challengers, the Chrysler, the 300, if you will, they're all getting slowly phased out here now as the transition to electrification of a lot of those vehicles. Now, they're going to get rid of a lot of the internal combustion engines, so these are one of those, get them while you're hot. Again, the rumor has it there are some offerings at around 0%. Challenger, again, as I say, $36,000 sticker. Same thing, 0%. Nissan Altima, which stickers about $35,000, is also subject to 0% financing. As well as a Hyundai Tucson. You want something from that Korean manufacturer, $27,000 sticker and above, of course, can also potentially get you 0% financing if you have a great credit score, if you will. Mazda CX-5 at $29,300 sticker can also get a 0% financing rate. And remember, Mazda's the up-and-comer. A lot of you haven't really thought about them, but actually they're honestly becoming more dependable, more reliable, and quite as sturdy. They're literally leading one of the lists, the top list for Consumers Reports reliability. For even in competition with the Hondas and the Toyotas, they're holding their own. You can get a great Mazda CX-5 for that as well. And of course, a Ram 1500 at $46,000 sticker and above, again, depending on the outfit you go with, you can get deals galore. 0% APR, of course, but not only that, lots of negotiations. Get prices knocked off sticker. Try to get widgets thrown in. Get those mats in. Get that paint protection film thrown in. If they're not going to throw it in, make sure you take the truck as is, drive it away, go get it done at a third-party shop. It's going to save you some money. And the Ford Edge, which retails a little over $37,000 as well, they're offering as much as $2,500 back in your pocket. But remember, it's one of those brands that's actually starting to phase out. The Ford Edge is going to be likely replaced here within a year or so with another electric version of something similar. So the Edge is going away. Just remember that whole obsolescence piece. And as well, the Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid for $36,000 sticker and up, another potential 0% buy. Now, all these, we may not be restricted and limited to these particular vehicle models and makes. There are more added to the pile. These are some great examples of some great opportunities for people that might be looking at these. I'm not suggesting these are the best vehicles on the market. Often, when there's lots of incentives, that tells you usually something. What is that? Highly sought after vehicles, vehicles that are high quality, highly wanted and sought after. Those are usually vehicles that dealers don't have to incentivize. So just remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind when you're actually negotiating on the price of some of these vehicles. Other than maybe the Mazda there, that one sort of stands out to me a little bit. But usually when manufacturers are heavily incentivizing these vehicles, they can't sell them. Why? Often they're overpriced to begin with. Their value's not there. They're old, obsolete technology. Maybe they're unreliable. They're just not meeting the market intent. So sometimes make sure you do your homework on all those models as well as any others that are coming due. Of course, as we see, 2024 is now going to be the time where we're starting to see big incentives hitting. We're going to see opportunities to knock a lot of dollars off a sticker, whether you're buying a truck, an SUV, or a car. Of course, cars are going away. Ford's not selling really any cars anymore. It's all SUVs and trucks. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities as we hit 2024. But when is the right time to buy? Honestly, this is probably a pretty good time to start looking around. There's guaranteed going to be some of your favorite manufacturers offering up some deals on your favorite models that you might have been holding out for. So clearly this is inspiring to see that we're starting to turn the page. We're starting to see these incentives, and we're starting to see what the car market was like previous to the 2020s. So I hope that helps everybody. If you have been shopping, this might in fact be your time to buy. And more on that note, of course, my last video, very popular, explains the whole conversation about why the truck market is truly collapsing. And this is a big contributing factor to some of these opportunities in buying. So hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.